Good evening. My name is Don Hoyler, and I'll be leading this meeting of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. It is October 8th. Call to order. I think we have everyone here in attendance tonight. We'll start with any additions or deletions to the agenda. Does anyone have anything to add or delete?
No.
Okay. Moving on, the minutes from the September 10th meeting were distributed, and everyone should have had a chance to review those. Anyone have any questions, or should we go ahead and approve those minutes?
They looked right to me.
Okay. Minutes are approved. Okay, we'll move on to discussions. We'll start with the Penfield Trails Committee update. Bob, I see you're here. I know your eyes aren't quite up to snuff. You want to go ahead, or you want me to do this?
Well, let's talk about the hike we had on September 14th at Channing Philbrick. Nice history lesson from, and I cannot remember her name.
Anna Jarvis from the History Room.
Anna did a great job, about 15 minutes. We had, I believe it was 30 people at the history part of it, and then a few people left, so we took 28, 27 people up to Spring Lake and back, and then got back, and the smaller group went all the way back to behind Tops. So depending on whether you want to do the long hike or the short hike.
Yeah.
But it was great day, lots of hikes, or,
A
lots
lot of people, yeah, I think all told, it was 4 miles and over 2 hours when you consider the discussion period and people asking questions.
That's great.
And then we've talked about in the past, so we've started this concept of pop-up hikes. So last Thursday, there was a pop-up hike at Sherwood Fields. It was designed, to go a little bit slower for people who can't keep up with our bigger, longer hikes. So I believe there was 9 or 10 people attended that. It was pretty well received from what I hear. And then upcoming this Saturday is our hike at Ellison Park. And for everybody just listening, it's important to realize this hike starts, it's the Coyote Den Trail off of Penfield Road, just up the road from Gentles. So we need to make sure that people understand that's where it will be.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had.
Okay. So again, the pop-up hikes we've discussed before, really that was an outcome from the survey for the master plan. And we're trying to provide a variety of hikes as part of this pop-up hike program. So the one last Thursday that Bob just mentioned was sort of advertised as a seniors hike, pretty flat, pretty slow. The next one will be October 19th, and it will be sort of the opposite of that. We're looking at a long through hike starting at Spring Lake Park, ending at Irondequoit Bay Park West in Irondequoit, about 10.5 miles, and could easily be close to 5 hours in length. So you're really looking forward to that. The Trails or the Rec Department is helping us by shuttling people so we can meet at the end point, get a shuttle back to the start point. Then when we're done, we'll finish where all of our cars are. So that's October 19th. I think that's it for the hikes. We do have, of course, our hike in November and December we'll talk about. We also have finalized the hike schedule for 2025. So we've submitted that. Should be in time to get into the brochure.
Yep.
And we've added a couple new parks as part of that, so we've changed things up a little bit from this year. But several that have gone well, we've maintained. Next item was the Monroe County Irondequoit Bay Parks Trail User Survey. So the county is looking at Ellison Park, Tryon Park, and Irondequoit Bay West Park. So 3 of their county parks that abut Irondequoit Creek, Irondequoit Bay Wetlands, and Irondequoit Bay. And they're looking at information regarding their usage, potentially adding biking, which is not supported in all those parks now, connecting those parks. So they had a survey, I believe it closed on Sunday, last Sunday, October 6th. So we'll be watching for any output from that. But that certainly aligns with some of the work that we've talked about, even with the master plan. You know, Ellison Park, Lucian Moran Park are within Penfield borders, so it was good to see that the county is looking at some of those same things and collecting information.
Yeah, and Don, just to pop in, I attended one of the meetings that GROC actually held, which is our local bike kind of group that we've been working with for the bike project or multi-use trail project at Shadow Pines. And I know that Irondequoit officials and Monroe County officials were there as well, which it took place last week at Bay Park West and Lucian Moran. And really, one of the things that I took away with it was just everybody is really looking at that connectivity piece. And we had Rochester Connect organization there as well that, you know, we'll be working with as well. But it was just great to hear that, you know, obviously with GROC it was specific to biking, but really I believe the Irondequoit Town Supervisor was talking about they're starting to put some funds into some walkable paths, some bikeable paths. So it's great to hear with some of our other things happening with the active transportation plan as well. So I think that's right in line with a lot of the information. Mainly kudos to Don, who kind of took it from the trails perspective in our master plan that's coming up. So I think overall we're on line with the county and other local places around to try and connect a lot of these places.
Yeah, and those independent organizations, like you said. So certainly connectivity is a buzzword that's having a moment, and I think our timing for the master plan was perfectly aligned with that. So very good. Next, there was some work on the Hit the Trail passport. So the Trails Committee took that initiative on at the beginning of the year. Amongst the committee members, we kind of went through that pamphlet, went to each of the parks and walkways and sidewalks, and just checked the information to see if it was still current. And, you know, in a few cases it was, a few cases it wasn't. So we've compiled you know, all the variances, I guess, or needs for update that we could find. Dawn Schaefer from the committee is kind of collating all those, and she'll be working with the rec department to get those pamphlets updated and new versions printed that are accurate. She also, compliments of the rec department, has all new markers, so she's going to go around and replace or put those in where they need to. I think there's one, Tim, that will look to the Parks Department. That's Abraham Lincoln. The old, per the pamphlet, none of us could find it, that marker was down that Smith Road, the road that heads down to the lodge, and we kind of all agree it would be better placed at the trailhead where the playground is. So, and we did talk to the county, and they said, you know, it's perfectly fine for Penfield to put that in. So we'll be looking to do that. The other thing we talked about at our last Trails Committee meeting is there are 3 parks within Penfield that have hiking trails and were not included in that pamphlet. And that would be 4 Mile Creek Park, or Nature Preserve, I guess, Hipbrook Nature Preserve, and Irene Gosson. And so we've put together descriptions, and we'd like to see those added to that pamphlet so it's comprehensive for all the hiking trails within Penfield.
Yep, and kudos to you guys again. That's been almost a 3-year project that you've been working on this since I was back on the Trails Committee. So it's been a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. I know the only thing that we've received that may take some time to get it into the updated passport maps is we still have to get an official trail map of 4 Mile Creek. I do have a handwritten one that Nels came up with.
Okay.
And I'll pass that along to the engineering team to see if we can map that out to get that in. So that may take some time, but
Right.
It's on our plate now to update that stuff.
What do you need for that?
Really just the mapping portion to put, you know, this is the start, this is the end. we had talked about this with the Trails Committee as well, as maybe coming up with a little bit newer sort of trail map looks. So if we can do all of them at once, great, but I know 4 Mile Creek is the one that I just have to pass up that information to get it back.
Okay. I do have a GPS recording of it, so
Perfect.
if we need it.
If you can send that to me, that'd be great. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
And also, in addition, I know we talked about it a while ago, too, since Shadow Pines is not complete, but it's, open to the public now. I know that was a project that we were going to work with the Trails Committee, like labeling all those trails and getting that mapped out once the newer half was
Right.
completed. So not throwing more on your guys' plate, but that's another thing that
Yeah.
we can map out.
I mean, we kind of figured with this multi-use trail project, we're not quite sure how that will all land.
Okay.
We could do the north side now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the plan.
Yep.
Are done, right? That's
Yeah,
no
I know, and
Yeah.
we walked it with disc golf way back when, that's probably a couple years ago that we did that.
Yeah.
But I think now that with the pickleball and the bathrooms and the rec areas and some of those paths already being connected with the stone paths through the project, now we can really look at that north side. Again, no pressure, no rush, or anything like that, but at least that could be another area that we're looking at mapping to have that established for when and if the bike project and multi-use project happens.
Do you want to add that to the pamphlet as part of this update, the north side at least?
If
And
we
put a marker in?
if we can get that done soon enough, I wouldn't mind adding it, and it's just another thing that we'll throw towards the engineering department to map out with the GIS, but
Right.
I know the last time we walked it, there were a couple areas more on the west side that was disc golf related, and that's why we walked with them, that we didn't really have a definitive answer of where that's going to lead. We had an idea, but if we can get that together soon, I
Okay.
look at it as like a winter project,
Okay, that sounds good.
not to push that on you guys.
So that's it. There's the 3 we already talked about. Maybe that one is a 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Each of those markers are identified by the park, right? It's not just a generic thing.
Correct.
So we'll need new
Sure.
rub
Yep.
markers for those. Okay. Action item for you? Who could
Yeah,
handle that?
basically, when we get that into the Trails passport, that will just let me know to order those things from, we get them from Penfield Trophies.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because there's one out here, Veterans Park, that actually doesn't match the book, so we got to make sure that
Okay.
it,
Is that included in those updates you guys sent over?
the one I sent
Either
over
way.
months ago, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the last Trails Committee update, just a note, Andrew mentioned the active transportation plan that the town board initiated, I think. And so with what we've done with the connectivity and with our parks as part of the master plan, I think we'll take an action to be engaged with that ATP development and provide our input and review or whatever help we can provide. Just wanted to note that. Okay, I think that's it for the Trails Committee. Penfield Parks update. Tim?
Yeah, we'll keep it a little short and sweet. Our big project over the last month was adding the pavers under a lot of the benches in most of our parks and walking trails. We got about over 20 of them done within a short period of time. The parks crew, they did a fantastic job with them. And I know they've been posted on social media and that kind of stuff, but if you haven't had a chance to look at them, they are phenomenal.
Yeah, they look really
Yeah.
nice.
Softfield,
Yep.
We are looking to, it's the end of the season, we're wrapping up a lot of the baseball, sports field stuff at the end of the month, and you can tell it's already the fall season because we're going to take down the amphitheater later this week. So it's the end of the summer season for us.
Fall season.
Fall
Yeah, we
season.
can get
Yep. So the recreation area, I hadn't heard that term before today, so that's good.
Yeah.
So the ribbon cutting was today. That's a phenomenal project, obviously very well received. I think a lot of smiles today as people walked around and saw it, and
So yeah, the playgrounds are open, the pickleball courts are open. The general contractors still have a couple things to wrap up on the actual open-air lodge part. That'll be within the next week. They got to do some wrappings around the posts and finish some stuff like that. But after that, they should be good to go. So there might be a little disturbance there still, just under the open-air lodge. But other than that, pickleball's good to go, and playgrounds are good to go.
Yep. And those bathrooms should be open year-round down there, which will help during park hour, or property hours, excuse me. And I also know for pickleball, just wanted to say as we've been getting tons of phone calls and emails with questions and things like that. Now that they're opened up, they are first come, first serve. There are no reservations for all of 2024 on those courts. We want as many people to use them as possible, but always, there's going to be signage, more signage posted in the near future once we get those back, like large metal ones that'll go right on the fence. But really just be courteous. We know that it's going to be very popular. We want as many people to use it. So if you are there and there's people waiting in line, please just be a courteous person, play one game and then start to rotate to let other people play. So we're excited for that. And then looking into 2025, the recreation department, just like we do for our other tennis and pickleball courts, we do reserve those courts. There is a fee that the town board approves every year. Currently, it's $10 an hour per court for a resident and $20 for non-residents. I imagine that'll probably stay pretty similar going into next year. Obviously, with those courts being very popular, the recreation department will do our best to make sure that it's not heavily reserved and there's always open hours for the public. But really, the hope is that it's first come, first serve as much as possible for everybody to play.
awesome.
Just one, not sure if you happened to go by Shadow Pines on Saturday. The cross-country meet, was lots of people there. Parking was just a zoo, up and down the roads. And what I can imagine next year happens with that is the parking lot where the pickleball courts, those are all going to get filled.
Yep. So for cross-country, we've had this happen before where people are parking on the road and things like that. We do our best to work with the school district to do as much parking up there as possible, but I know that this is their bigger one for the fall with their Penfield Arondacoit Invitational. So hopefully the other ones that are taking place aren't as big, but yes, I agree. I think there's some planning that needs to go in for the open air pavilion, which will be rentable in 2025 during May and October, like our other open air pavilions. We'll have to look to hopefully reserve that. And
You probably want to block it off because I've never seen so many cars with Shadow Pines before.
And we've talked with the school district too about the potential of busing people from Bay Trail and things like that. It hasn't gotten to that point yet, but it might be an option moving forward.
Okay. The multi-use trail project, is any luck with
Yeah, I can
contacting
update that.
further? And
Yep, like I said, when I went to the Grok kind of meeting last week, I had already reached out to Adam Reitz, who's our consultant from Further Trail Services, who's been gathering all the information and data for the south side of Shadow Pines for a multi-use trail project. We had a really nice conversation. He's been busy with a bike project out in Naples, which I'm hoping, once I get that information, I'm hoping to schedule a time to go out there, and I'll invite everyone to attend as well. As I've heard, it's kind of just a really well-run, well-organized kind of use of the land, which would be similar to the Shadow Pines property, just on a smaller scale. But he's going to start to kind of gather his information. He was starting to do that back in June with a master plan, but summer has got busy. So I'd like to think at some point, this winter or into 2025, we'll reach out to town board and possibly have a presentation about that stuff. So he's working on it, but good to start that conversation again.
Okay. Before we leave parks, I was just going to, last month, Ben Woods, I think, was the scout, right? And he was going to do that Sherwood Trails improvement. Do you know if that got done?
I don't know.
I'm in the process of ordering his materials from Home Depot, so I just
Okay.
connected with him earlier this week or last week. So I can say that they're not done, but once I get that equipment to him, I believe he's trying to get them done this fall. But we'll see kind of how the weather goes, as I know that that is a weather-dependent project over at Sherwood.
We did send our parks crew out there to clear out the bigger stuff with the chainsaws and the power equipment that they weren't able to do, so they should have a good canvas to start the project,
Okay.
whenever it gets rolling.
Sounds good. All right, Penfield Rec.
Yep. So we're in our fall season. Things are going well. They're going so well, like in every other previous year. The town board will be getting some financial adjustments that hopefully will be approved, as we've made well over our targeted revenue total already, being in September and October. But usually when you're making more money, we have to then pay our instructors and events and things like that. So we're going to have to move around some funds, but it's a yearly thing. We're happy to do it, and hopefully they'll get approved.
You have like a net budget?
So I think when I look today, in terms of revenue, I'll ballpark it. I believe we're at 850,000, and our projected was 650, so we're about 200,000 over. But those funds will need to be transferred over, so some of that will get lost in the expenses to pay for a lot of our programming and events and things like that. So that number will go down towards the end of the year, but we still have a couple months to make some more. And I believe right now for our expense, we're just under 900,000, but we also have a whole other season to pay for instructors that we've already gotten the revenue for. It's just the programs are taking place. So good problems to have. Nice to be on top of that, but at this point in October, I'd love to say $220,000 over in revenue is wonderful, but again, that number is going to go down a little bit when we allocate it to expense.
Nice.
So yeah, and on that note too, since we're in the fall, I'll also say as the rec department, we're already planning winter, spring 2025, which is crazy to say. We're looking at January and June. But I just wanted to send out a reminder. I know Julie's not here tonight, but all the feedback we've gotten about summer camp, we're still looking into those details about fees, cancellation fees and things like that. I know it's gone up to the board level and there's been some decisions, so some of that information's been passed down. But all that will be in our winter, spring brochure. Ultimately, for anybody who's listening, I know we've gotten a lot of people reaching out already, planning summer camp next year. We're planning for February or March to be that first registration date. We don't have a date tacked yet, but I think just from everything we've heard, that time frame makes a little bit more sense for all involved, where we're still a little bit early, but not too late, because we used to do it in December. So people can have a little bit more planning, and we can hopefully have as many staff as possible hired by February or March, even though we'll take anybody who interviews well right up until the end of June to get as many kids in the program. And then...
I'm sorry, when does the brochure go out?
So the brochure will go out at the end of June, with registration starting, I think, the second week.
I meant the winter, spring.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said June, but I'm in my 2025 brain right now. November. So the end of November with registration in early to mid-December. This brochure also for lodge reservations for 2025. I believe it's the first Wednesday in December, so that information will be in there. So yeah, just crazy to be planning 2025 already. So any ideas from the public or for this group, events, programs, anything like that, please send our way. We're always working to be better. And then speaking of events, we've got our family Halloween event, which is upcoming on October 18th. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. at our Penfield Community Center. We plan to have it outdoors and indoors like in previous years. If it rains, we'll move everything indoors, but we have hay rides. We're going to have our Trick or Treat Street, games inside. Bach to Rock is providing music, potentially a band. The library participates. Other organizations like Penfield Color Green are coming in to volunteer this year. And we're also this year going to have the Chutes, I don't want to say donut truck, but their fried cake truck will be there selling items as well. So we're excited to have them as well partnering for that event. Seems right to have them at a fall event. That's all I got for rec at the moment.
Nice. All right, so next on the agenda is the master plan update. So this is the Parks and Recreation master plan. It's every 5-year plan. Last one was 2019, so we're striving to complete it in 2024. Not only does this set direction for the town, it enables us to request funds, I think, from the state also, right? You need to have an approved plan, so it's an important thing. Committee, it was put together and has worked and developed a draft that was finished really just early summer and has been circulated to this group for review. We'd like to take, the committee wants to take any feedback from the meeting today, incorporate that with the goal of presenting it to the town board, I think, in early November.
Yep.
I don't know, would that be at a working session presentation?
I
or
believe it'll be at a
public-
ledge.
public?
Are we hoping to do it first?
November 6th.
Yeah, that's a ledge meeting.
Okay. So, I'm not sure how you want to,
I just think, I sent the email out. Certainly, it's a lot of information to digest. I can't thank, Don and other members that are on the Parks and Rec Master Plan Update Committee on getting us to this draft phase. As much as I'd love to say, I think, it's ready to go and all that information. Of course, we wanted input from this group. So, by all means, I'll leave it open to anybody that's here who's reviewed it, who has edits, changes, recommendations, but certainly even leaving tonight, if you continue to review it, I know we're planning on meeting on the 16th to have a kind of final last meeting for the update committee to kind of review all this information, so you can send me that stuff all the way up until the 15th. So any comments, thoughts?
I have one comment. I think the document is well done, and there was only really one little thing that caught my eye as we were talking, as I was reading through it. In particular, it was actually on page 20. The second paragraph kind of talks about Shadow Pine, some of those things as being planned that actually have been implemented. So I think the paragraph maybe just needs to be tweaked and refreshed just a little bit. And again, I think the pride that we should have in what Shadow Pines has become makes a little bit of sense. The paragraph that says proposed improvements encompass additional, and then several other things in there, but some of those things are already done.
yeah.
Correct.
So that minor,
No.
and again,
No, that's good. I know what we did.
And I think that's speaking to it being
Yeah.
completed in June, and some of these
right.
things weren't, but yeah, I agree with
Exactly.
that. That's great.
In the 2019 plan, the town had, at that point, purchased Shadows, but it wasn't far enough along to be included. So that whole section on the Shadow Pines property was new for this one, so good catch. Yep.
Yeah, and that's honestly one of the bigger things that was updated besides the connectivity piece and the rec center study. But I believe in 2019, it was recommended just to follow the moratoriums committee's plan and things like that, where now that we have that information, we can update it similar to how other parks and properties are labeled in there. But yeah, I agree that can be tweaked.
just a little bit.
Now that we're here in, October rather than in June when some of these things are open. now.
Especially the excitement today from the pickleball courts being
Yeah.
opened up,
Cool.
or the rec area, excuse me.
Any other comments, thoughts, suggestions, additions?
So I reviewed it today as well, and I thought it represented a lot of the conversations that we've had here, even getting into specifics about the connectivities, the plans for Shadow Pines. one thing, and it could be because I drive by it every day, and it might even be in more of a public works setting, but we have all the new housing over on 250. It'd be nice to have some connectivity to these parks with even a sidewalk, like even driving down Atlantic from here to 250, the shoulder is about this wide, and there's no sidewalks, and there's all those apartments going up there. So, you know, it's related to the parks. I don't know if it falls into this type of document, but it would get people in the parks on foot, and instead of
Yeah.
you know, having to drive a quarter mile.
So here's my
100%.
Here's my take on that. I think, you know, the active transportation plan, we even added in that connectivity section in sort of anticipating, you know, we referenced that, but now that it's real, we can probably update some of the language to just, you know, maybe not identify specific subdivisions, but to say that as part of the active transportation plan, all those new neighborhoods, you know, all that stuff should be looked at and should be part of. I mean, I don't know that we can mandate sidewalks to subdivision developers. I mean, I think we do to some degree already, right? I think that is within the rights. But yeah, we can certainly update the language. I think that's good.
Yeah, and I think the language, similar to what you're saying, is now that there is an active transportation committee and plan, we can just reference it similarly to how we did the Shadow Pines before, to say, hey, follow those recommendations, knowing that stuff like that would, you know, most likely be included with the connectivity and their plan. I'd like to think that we can get very specific into, okay, this place needs to connect, but I think just the overall encompassing of getting these new subdivisions and any of these houses that have been here for years connected to various areas. So I'd like to think that that's already probably a goal of that plan anyways. But I think we can update that language to be a little bit closer to what Ben's saying.
And we do currently have a plan for sidewalks.
Right.
You know, we got additional money from the county, but I think what you're referring to, that section with those new townhouses right on 250 in Atlantic,
Yeah.
that spans, I'm pretty sure that wasn't part of what we had planned. There's a lot of
Right.
other places where we're connecting
Yeah.
Jackson Road. I'm going to go take a look at it though again.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a tough,
it's
tough place to put
it's a
it.
tough place.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's always an annual review too by the
Right.
town, you know, for
Yeah.
the sidewalks. I know 5 Mile was just completed this last weekend. As someone who drives by that quite often, it looks awesome. And we're already excited for the Victory Garden, because now it has connection both north and south. So I'd like to think that, you know, that can always be sent to our engineering department as they have a running list of all the areas that sidewalks have been requested. Then it gets reviewed annually, but
Right.
I'd like to think that's active
But
transportation.
to connect
too.
all that housing to Veterans
Right.
Park,
Right.
it seemed like that should be possible with a path.
Yeah. Is there
Either
a trail
behind the
opportunity?
shooting range or along
Right.
the sidewalk, right? A
Is
sidewalk
there any
along.
trail opportunity that could connect back into?
There is a
Veterans Park?
trail behind here. It goes out into the
Yeah,
woods.
I think in
But I don't know
between,
where the
though.
property lines are for the shooting range, right? And that's
Yeah,
obviously something you want to be careful of.
Hopefully pretty far back,
Okay,
yes.
green light.
Yeah, and to the north of it, I think, is a bunch of private property
Is it?
of the
Yeah.
shooting range, I think, so it would be tough, I think,
But it's
to
a
navigate.
sidewalk
But yes,
along
a sidewalk,
Crowncroft.
or
Yeah.
even more than a 30-inch shoulder would be nice.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
And then I saw on as far as the Shadow Pines multi-user trails, there's some placeholders in there. I figured it was just going to be updated with the latest and greatest right before submission.
Yeah, there are some pieces, some data in here that, and I think I sent it in the email to you. There are a lot of maps and things like that we didn't include just because we wanted to make sure that the file stayed a little bit smaller. But some of those pieces will still get updated as close as possible to, it's really just data driven. That's a piece of it that we'll update, hopefully to get the most accurate info to the board, knowing that the next plan will be in 5 years.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that. On page 22, the description of the Arundecoy Creek Valley Trail, which I think is great to have. It's a great description, but I'm wondering if that's an appropriate one to actually put a map into this document to show people what that would be potential.
Yeah, we can look at that one as a committee. I'll highlight it, and yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay. Like Andrew said, that committee meets on October 16th. So anybody thinks of anything else, let us know before that meeting, and that will be the meeting we'll try to incorporate, all this feedback. Thank you. Moving on, other business, I have none. Held items, we do have an action item regarding Shadow Pines. I think that actually came up as part of the master plan discussions because, there's a big difference between properties and parks. And so it's currently a property. Some people were wondering if there's a plan to make it a park, if you happen to know, if it's been discussed.
There is no plan, there's been discussion.
Okay.
And so I think now, with everything going on, we need to take it to the next level to have a more active discussion. I've heard the pros and cons. I won't say that I fully understand the cons to it, but it's something that we're going to have to discuss and hopefully make a decision on.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be interesting to hear what those cons are, because
It's how the property is deemed at a state level, what you're able to do. Again, there's some others that I haven't looked into or nobody's been able to explain to me, so Tim may know more.
I think we're just more in the information gathering stage right now, trying to get as much as, because I'm in the same boat as you, because we've never had this kind of thing come into our plate right now. And again, it's just, and I've tried to look into it too, and it's it's a little confusing on what some of the pros and cons are and what we're able to do after and before, and we just don't want our hands tied to stop us from doing certain stuff that maybe in the town wants to do in the future.
Right. Or be required to do things that we
Correct.
weren't aware of. So, that.
Especially with some of these projects that may take place, it might be a little bit easier from what I've heard, not knowing. I believe we're all on a similar information gathering. But it may be easier to not have to go through, I wouldn't say restrictions, but before designating it, getting these big projects done. Then,
like the Clark House,
looking into
maybe.
some of those things.
Yeah.
Not saying that they are or they aren't, but.
right, but not that I actually expect this to happen, but I've had people say to me, oh, if we don't make it a park, then Costco's going to go there. It's like,
I think they want flatter land. But I know a lot of people are worried that different people come in, and that's a tough one to, but
and
I get people's fears.
And I think with the master plan document we have, the moratorium committee as well, we will have different things that are already recommending there. So who knows what's going to happen in the future? But I'd like to think we, as a town, have invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money into that property so far. I'd be surprised if it went somewhere else.
Yeah, that land is bonded, so, nothing's going to happen for a long time, right? We bought that with a bond, and that's a 30-year bond. So I know, you're just passing along what you're going to understand.
And I know with the recent addition of the recreation area, it started a discussion for us to even come up with some signage there to make it look like it's, town-owned and things like that. And we had that same discussion of, Shadow Pines property, Shadow Pines, anything. So I think it's going to be a conversation that takes place for a while, but we're excited for the recreational opportunities at that area now, whether it's a property or park. I think people can still use it however they'd like to, is on the recreation side of things.
Okay. This was held also, establish a process for renting or loaning equipment. I think we talked about that last month.
Yep. You were still working on it. Sabrina Renner and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. We already have discs from the Disc Golf Association, so thank you to all of you. I think it's like a stack of 30 at the moment. So that's that's something that we plan on working out the details with. We've been approached by a pickleball paddle company that may be able to provide some of those, just with the new amenities that are at Shadow Pines. It would be nice to have a town logo on them to make them easier to recognize, and hopefully they don't wander off if they're too nice. But we're still trying to come up with the process for that. We obviously want to make it free, if possible, with some waiver or credit card down, or I don't know. This is just us figuring all that stuff out now. There are companies that we've looked into that manage all of these things, kind of like a locker system where you use an app and do that. I don't know if we're going to get into that yet, but I think 2025 is our target date to at least have this stuff ready by this spring, with some of the processes down.
Sounds good, nice. Okay, old business, Channing Philbrick Park Trail Bridge Project update. So I know you mentioned that the town board looked at that in a working session.
Right, at our latest work, you probably have more information. Tim. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, I think so Mark Valentine and I have been working on this for a little while, meeting with MRB, the design, and I believe we got the approval to go out to bid. So we're gathering up information from MRB, and hopefully we're going to send it out to bid in the next couple months or by the end of the year. So we're looking, so we're moving forward with that, and hopefully completion of in 2025.
Perfect. I mean, I saw the town board meeting where it was discussed, and it sounds like they believe they can do this without going into the water. So
Yeah, and that's the big hurdle that we jumped with DC. That's why we can start at different times, and not because I know Spring Lake, they had to wait because they were doing more invasive work down at their end of the creek. Our end, we're just doing helical piles into not disturbing anything, not into the water. So it should be an easier process and a more time-efficient process where we don't have to wait on a certain type of year for the trout to run or, whatever wildlife's down there. So yeah, we're hoping for us the bids to come back in reasonable bids and hopefully start that project in 2025.
Yeah, that would be fabulous.
The Trails Committee, we intentionally did not do our normal September hike there, not knowing what was going to be happening.
Yeah, we moved that later in the year, so we'll be able to test out the new bridges.
Hopefully the first one's on.
Yeah.
It'd be a heck of a pop-up once it opens. It'd be a great pop-up hike.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
Do you
All right.
anticipate they actually have to close that trail while the construction's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the idea is they're going to rip it out and then, you could still get to from Channing Philbrick Park, you can go up to Honey Creek Trail. They're going to have potentially a staging area right there before it goes up the hill. But then once you get to the trail where the bridges are, potentially closing those bridges down because the way they're going to put it on is they're going to have to leapfrog each other, go drill and then set down a platform and go like that. That's the idea behind that construction.
Makes sense.
So they're going to have to shut it down. We're going to have to shut it down on our end and then work with Parrington on, signage on their end saying trail closed ahead, turn around now.
And I think access for equipment is going to be a large hurdle for that project as well, just to get into that area. So I can't imagine any part of that will be open where a lot of big pieces of machinery are going to be going through there. I shouldn't say big pieces of machinery. The appropriate machinery will be going in there and hopefully not obstructing anything.
Okay, thank you. That's a good update. That would be fabulous to get that done. Okay, I think we're just about done here. New business, I don't have anything. No public feedback tonight. So our next meeting will be the second Tuesday of November, which is November 12th, 6 o'clock here at the Town Hall. And with that, we are adjourned. It is 6:55 or 6:35.